Svetasvatara Upanishad. We are on the 6th mantra, on page 67, and the metaphysical portions now commence. I'll read the Sanskrit and then the translation, and we will look at the commentary. Sarva jive sarva sansthe brihante asmin hamso brahmyate brahmachakre pratagatmanam preritaram chamatva jushtastatas ritattvameti. So here we have the last word here is brahmachakre, the wheel of Brahman. The translation is the individual soul, considering itself and the controller as different, revolves in this great wheel of Brahman. That is the sustenance of all and the place of dissolution of all. When one's self is adored as identified with God, then thereby one attains immortality. Here we have this great wheel of Brahman. That's called the Brahmachakra. So the individual soul is here spoken of as Hamsaha. The first line. Hamsaha.
Swan.
The swan. Yes. And why is the swan? You know, even in our symbol, we have that snake at the rim, and the wavy waters, and the rising sun, and you can say lotus. It's a combination of all the 4 yogas one has to do. This was Vivekananda's idea. Raj Yoga is the snake, the Kundalini Shakti, and then we have the lotus as Bhakti Yoga, and we have the wavy waters as Karma Yoga, and we have the rising sun as a sun of knowledge. The combination of all these 4 yogas, the vision of the Supreme Self, the Paramatma, is obtained. And that is depicted as a swan. And the narration is Tanno Hamsa Prachoda. Hamsa. May that Supreme Self, Supreme Soul in us be awakened. But here in this context, Hamsa is the individual soul. It means both the individual soul as well as the Supreme Soul. For the simple reason is, when the individual soul recognizes itself, as the mantra says, as identified with God, then its bondages drop and it attains immortality. That's what. So a swan, the individual soul, even in the Upanishads, especially in the Vedanta Upanishad, we have this great sage Yajnavalkya teaching that a Hamsa, Eka Hamsa, is that soul. The swan is white, and it also has a long migratory, you can say, route. The individual soul also migrates from one body to another. And this is the reason why you say, where does it migrate? This wheel of Brahman is nothing but samsara. That transmigratory existence. And that soul, that Hamsa, migrates from one body to another. From the body of a god, or a demigod, or a human, or an animal, or trees, plants, anything. It keeps on migrating. Long road. Some of the scriptures say that there's 83,000 births it has to take.
83,000.
Yeah, it's saying it's actually more than that, but then it's a kind of a figure that's given here. It migrates for the simple reason is because we are identifying ourselves with this body instead of identifying ourselves with the Supreme Soul. That's the idea. So the word is means hum. Sa. No? Hamsa is hum. Yeah. Is that which moves along a path. And that's the word used is Brahmyati. Brahmyati revolves, keeps on, in a kind of a delusive stupor. Oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is, I've got to do this, I've got to eat this, I've got to, keeps on and on and on. But wait, what's wrong with you? Quiet. Shut your senses, calm your mind. What exactly what are you looking for? Where are you going? I don't know.
My grandnephew is 2 years old. He says on everything, it's mine.
Your grandnephew.
2 years old. Everything is mine. So we are like the 2-year-old.
There is one stage after realization when you identified with the Supreme Soul, you feel that this is mine. When Vivekananda used to walk down the streets, there was an onlooker when he was doing this in New York, saying wherever Vivekananda looks and whatever he looks at, there's a sense of this belongs to me, this belongs to me, this belongs to me, this belongs to me. Everything belongs to you. Once you identified with God, it becomes, oh yeah, this also is mine.
It's your body.
Yeah, it's your body, exactly. And all these people are part of my existence. So it's that feeling. The suns and the moon, the stars, and mine.
So the 2-year-old is not wrong then.
Yeah, teach him the Vedanta. So it moves on and identifies itself with different bodies. And that's the reason why the commentator says, through different births diversified as God, man, lower animal, etc. The idea is that it wanders thus by revolving in this Brihante, great wheel of Brahman. Great wheel of Brahman. There's scope for everybody and anything. Yeah. Tremendous. Then the grace of the Guru comes and dawns. Then you stop your wandering. And then you slowly start identifying yourself with your Supreme Self. Now it's like this, like in the Upanishads, another Upanishad, the illustration is given of two birds. One bird eating the sweet and bitter fruits. And when it's eating the sweet fruits, it's so delighted and happy. But when it eats a bitter fruit, it gets a kind of a shock. And it looks at another bird up there sitting quiet, immersed in its own glory, without eating anything. So when it eats a bitter fruit, it tries to move closer towards that higher bird. And then that is a journey. Gradually it keeps on eating sweet and bitter fruit, forgets, and as it gets closer to this higher bird, then it says, oh my God, in its proximity, he sees all that light of that supreme bird, the higher bird, is being reflected in itself, and hey, what's that? I was just a reflection. I am actually the real bird. It then discovers that I was that higher bird all the time. And this bird which was eating the sweet and bitter fruits was that jiva, that's the individual soul that was deluded. And the tree is the tree of Brahman. That's a different analogy. Here there's a wheel. So it keeps on moving over here and there, all these places. And Sarva Ajive. And this wheel of Brahman, what is its function? You say, which is the sustenance of all, on which the life of all depends. Sarva Samste, which is the place of dissolution of all, in which all have their end merger. This whole universe pops out of existence, stays for a while, and merges back in. And once again. And in this, you can say, fraction of a second, when you come to this realization, you'll see, oh, this is just a kind of all time stands still, and you think, my God, what was I dreaming about? Moving about here and there. So this great wheel of Brahman sustains everything. You, me, birds, plants, animals, insects, everything. So there is God created the human beings and favored them. No, nothing like that. They're saying if you can say a tiger was philosophical, it would have a tiger god. If a bull was philosophical, it would have a bull god. All these. And we are humans, so we have a human god. And that's a very, very, you can say, limited idea of God that we have. God is a human being. Oh, really? The tiger will say, what about me? What about my God? So, in Vedanta, all the conceptions of God, whatever they merge, and that's called the Ishvara. This is his creation. So there you have a tiger god and a bull god and a man god and an ant god and all gods. He is a sum total of all the gods and goddesses. There we are. So Vedanta just cuts at the root of all these quarrels and fights. My God is the greatest God. Let's decide it with a fight. And that's what human beings have been doing for thousands of years. And only my God will let you in. Why? Why should God, who's created all these things, be so selfish? These are my people and those are not my people. Why did you create them in the first place? So somewhere human beings have been so narrow in their, you can say, outlook of God. And then another thing that Swami Vivekananda mentioned, if you say God is infinite, how can you compress him within the covers of a book? And if he's infinite, you cannot compress everything about him in a book. And his words are constantly, you can say, inspiring us. Inspiring us. Yes, everything. He speaks through the birds and the plants and animals and everything, human beings. So this whole universe becomes a book for us. God's book. We read it. In a mature state, this individual soul will see not a kind of a transmigration from one body to another, but he's saying this is the book of Brahman. This is the book of God. And actually, if you study one thing perfectly, you will find God. It might be a snowflake, might be a grain of sand, you might see a single-celled creature. You will see the beauty that's there, and you will find there also God exists. You can find God there. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, physics, what does physics do or any science? It tries to find the one substance from where everything has come out, diversity. It tries to find unity. Physics will slowly melt into metaphysics. It has to. You push physics far enough, and there you come to the metaphysics. You will ask some fundamental questions. Where has this come from? This whole universe. So we say it's a wheel of Brahman. They will say, oh, it's called the universe. Started with a Big Bang or with some quantum fluctuations, whatever. And the second para, please. What is the reason that it wanders through the different births? The question is put. In answer to this, it is said, Matva, considering itself, Atmanam, yeah, Manana Matva, itself, Cha Preritaram, and the controller as different. Now, why the God is called the controller? Yes, one of the epithets is he is the inner controller, Antaryami. And when this whole wheel of Brahman, it needs work. The busiest person in this whole universe is God. We say, I'm so busy. I don't have time. Why don't you see God and learn that he is the busiest guy around? He has to feed each and every being. And that's what Swami Ramakrishna, in one of his visions, he's seen. It's like a great being. He's placing some grains in the mouths of all creatures. He has to place those grains, he has to feed everybody. And then another task is your karma. The fruits of your karma will not come to me. My karma, the fruits will not come to you. Each one has performed certain tasks, work, karma. The results will come to that person. And there cannot be a room for slightest error in this. Otherwise, the whole universe will collapse. The whole wheel will collapse. If your karma would come to me, my karma would go to Ananta, and oh, what happened? I did so much of japa and Ananta is now liberated. Of course, there is a yes, on a different scale, speaking that we can transfer good deeds to others, but from the standpoint of a God who gives unto everyone what he or she deserves, that means that God has to be omniscient and omnipotent. Whatever thoughts you have thought, even privately, and we are sitting here, nobody knows what exactly is happening. Even the thoughts we think, that results. So it is this God who is the inner controller. He gives everyone his due. Nobody can say, "Oh, this is unfair." No, you have opened that path by yourself through something that you had done. But am I caught up in that net always? No, you can come out of it. So God is not to be blamed for that. He has given you a little freedom, the individual soul. And you have to work. And bodies work, minds work, senses work. We work. And then we get the results. So it is He who gives everyone his due. There. Don't shout, don't scream, don't be concerned about this. I'm looking after the whole thing. And then the place of merger also, because from the root of when it appears, whatever appears from the root, it merges there in that root itself, in the root,
yeah.
in that source. So, so God is there. He is looking after this whole, you can say, creation, and right down from the lowest being to the highest. You can say. The blue whale, it's a huge creature, huge. You cannot imagine. It's looking after that also. There, giving everything. So, and that's the reason why it's said that the individual soul thinks of itself as different from that God, that controller. It's not that you become the controller. You are actually a part. You are just a kind of a spark that has come out from that blazing fire, as the Upanishads say. So that controller, who is God, saying by perceiving the soul and God as different under the idea that one is separate, I am separate, it wanders in the world. There it is. I am separate from God. In the state of dualism, God is eternally separate from me. Separate. There is a saying, I don't want to become sugar, I want to taste sugar. Yeah, but you might come down with diabetes. Oh, you keep on tasting that sugar, the sweetness. There are instances where the souls, great souls, they merge inside, and then they can separate themselves a little and worship that God. But they are always identified with that supreme. So God is in heaven, and I am here in this creation, and God has nothing to do with this creation. No, Vedanta says no. God is involved in this creation. It is His creation. Further, it will be spoken of that God and this wheel of Brahman, that's a wheel, are not two separate things. It is God Himself who appears as a kind of a wheel, and we are all placed on that. Oh, it's a huge, huge. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's saying, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshi Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra. That inner controller, that Lord of all, sits in the hearts of all beings, O Arjuna. And he moves everyone, those who are stuck on the wheels of this great Maya machine. He's sitting here in our hearts and moving that machine, that huge machine.
So any action you do is actually it's just you can't say there's a separate person doing it. You know what I mean? You get karma, but actually, why do you act in a certain way? It's not you have nothing to do with it. It's like it's God. It's all God.
Yeah. Yes. Then you come to you are a liberated soul. Actually, it's like that. In spiritual practice, what you do is, even if you've been busy the whole day, at the end of the day or the end of half a day, just pray, whatever I have done was for you. I belong to you. I don't want anything. Just offer it. And you see how slowly your mind gets purified and you get a bit, yes, actually, it's all God. My individuality is actually a delusion. My identity is my universality. So that's where. So you keep on gradually attenuating your individuality as separate. and then you slowly move towards the merger. I'm identified with God. And why not? You say, I'm a child of God. That's the best thing for starters. Then, like Hanuman was asked, then he says, Deha buddhya tu dasoham. When I'm conscious of my body and my senses and my mind and everything, I am the servant of Rama. When I'm conscious of myself as an individual soul, jiva buddhya tadangshaka. I am a part of Rama. Atma buddhi. When I identify myself with the supreme Atman, Rama is me and I am Rama. There you are. Yeah. So these are the three stages of spiritual growth. These are the three philosophies also. The dualism, qualified monism, and monism. So everyone has to go through this. You simply, I'll go, jump down. No, we have not yet conditioned ourselves. But, and Sri Ramakrishna also says, first, when you start, God is out there. Then what happens is that God is all this. Then he's saying, no, second is God is within me. And then third is God is within and without and everything. So God is out there. The religions that teach God is out there, eternally separate. He has nothing to do with you. He has given you some responsibilities and some laws. You better follow them. If you don't, you're going to get deep fried forever.
People say I companion God. Does that work into this at all?
Does that?
People say I companion God.
Oh yes, that's a wonderful, you can say. That is one of the you can say bhavas, or you can say attitudes. Either I'm a child of God, I'm a friend of God. You can say God is my child. That's highest. All his glory and everything is nothing. God needs to be taken care of. That's why we have in the temple a small Gopala and Ramlala. There you have. All his majesty and all his powers and all is saying. He needs to be taken. And that is also one attitude. And it's a wonderful attitude. And then there's a kind of a calm how that yes, the Atman exists, God exists, and I exist there. Existence is one. So these are the various types of attitudes we use to approach God. So when you say God is separate and I am separate, that is the cause of the wandering in this wheel of. You know, when Vivekananda first came to his guru in Dakshineshwar, they first met in Calcutta and he sang a song and he was stunned. My God, who is this guy? He tells Ramchandra, you bring him to Dakshineshwar where he is stayed. And then when Vivekananda came, what would you sing? And he sang this song. And Manachalo Nija Niketani. Oh mind, let's return to your own abode. Why do you wander aimlessly this foreign land like a stranger? It's like this. Like we are moving around like strangers. What belongs to us? Like your grandnephew. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. It's very difficult for people to say this is mine, this is mine. This house is mine. Tomorrow the taxman comes and say,
No.
he's saying this body is mine. That is a delusion. But yes, actually it's not your body. These bodies are coming and going by the laws of nature. Nothing in this universe is actually ours. Nothing. If you study it carefully, it all belongs to God. We had no part in acquiring this body. We had some karma, and then we go to a kind of a shopping mall and say, You look at all the dresses. That one will do. And then we pick it up and we queue up in front of the, you can say, the teller. The kind of he'll bill you for that. It's exactly like that. We come out and stay and I like that body. Yeah, that's good. Pick it up. Then you wait for some time. The soul enters the womb at about six weeks after conception. So here you are. I've selected. I'm going there. There you are.
So I heard it's not the parents who choose the child. The child.
Oh yes,
chooses
the child.
parent.
Yes, it's a child.
That's-
The
What were you thinking?
What maintains the integrity of the individual achiever between birth?
that's a separate subject. But then once one body is given up, depending on what you have done, they say it's the first you come out of your body, and then first thing is there is a kind of a remembrance, the stage of remembrance. You remember everything. It comes in like a flash. And
The moment of death.
yes, and then you pass out, and it's a great relief. What was I afraid of? Oh. And then the second stage is of forgiveness. You forgive everything that you've done or what has been done against you. And if you cannot, if you do not, you're going to get stuck up there for a long time.
So it's better.
That's my question. Is where
Yeah,
where
exactly.
does
So yeah, where does it go? It has these 7 stages. It crosses one after another after another. Now, if the soul has been exceptionally pure and it has done some good works, it will rest for a while in some quasi heaven. It's a kind of a place, not a heaven, not in the ordinary, but a place where you will be happy. Okay, and then once that karma has been exhausted, it exhausts because you need fuel. You've got some fuel, you've landed up there, and then you're expending the fuel, and as the fuel is exhausted, you come down again. That's in the Bhagavad Gita. These things are delineated, not in the extreme details, but the general idea has been given that the souls go out, they come back in. There's an interim period of, say, rest. There are some who go into blinding darkness. There are some who just become like mad. They have hurt so many people, so done so many things. They suffer the torments. It's their own mind that has their own deeds that come, and they are like demons. So we'll take this up maybe sometime privately. So then we say, how is it liberated? The last para. The answer is just when one's self is adored. That's a very beautiful. When one's self, when one's Atman is adored. Yes, I am all existence. I am all blessedness. I am all knowledge. And that supreme soul is nothing but, you can say, my higher soul, my higher aspect. And here we have. Now, this is mental liberation. When you are now, you have come out of this idea of, hey, this, my soul, oh, my soul, and this and that, and is my Yes, my soul is damned. My soul is this. It'll go to purgatory. It'll go to hell. We'll go to heaven. It'll go to this and that. The soul understands, as Vivekananda says, that all heavens and hells and all in the soul. There is a story of story in the sense of a great soul. He was speaking about his dream. In the morning, he had what we have now, a kind of a satsang gathering of devotees. Saying, last night I was dreaming. One Swami comes and starts beating me. And then I saying, hey, why are you beating me, Swami? I want to put you into samadhi. And beating me. Saying, stop. Don't beat me. I don't want to go in samadhi. Samadhi isn't me. The soul is vast. Here we are, that all the heavens and all the earths and all the hells and whatever, they are in the soul. The soul is vast. It's not a small thing anymore. Because you now identified yourself with the Supreme Soul. There you are. So, he identified with God. As identified with Him, with God, with the non-dual Brahman, that is by nature, consciousness, existence and bliss. That is Satchitananda. That is, say, by becoming absorbed in the realization, I am that Brahman. I am that Supreme Soul. I am not an individual soul. So here, it starts with, all these years we have been thinking about ourselves as different. And we've laid down those, you can say, marks in our personality, in our mind. Every time we think something or do something, we kind of leave a mark on it. That's called a samskara. Impression, mental impression. They coalesce and become a personality. All these years up till now, we've been thinking in a erroneous way. Now we suddenly think, hey, no, that way of thinking was all wrong. Now we start thinking, I am that Supreme Self. I am identified with that. I am that Brahman. Now slowly you are laying down a different set of, you can say, marks on your mind. As you keep on laying down those minds, this is actually spiritual practice. You keep on laying down consciously. Yes, I am God's child, or I am God's friend. And gradually we lay down. Then these impressions take over. And as these impressions take over, you will always be identified with those thoughts, with those. I am part of that Supreme Being. I'm part of that, you can say, great, as a matrix. So this is how we slowly, it is, Vedanta says, Vedanta is a mental science. It's a subjective science. And here we are laying down with it. But is it possible? How long does it take? Those impressions prior to these new impressions were false. So whatever is false disappears. Yes. Oh, once I was moving around and searching for my specs. And then, oh, what happened? That searching for my specs and, wandering about in the room, all that time which I spent went away immediately when I realized I'm wearing those specs. Same way, they say in Vedanta, you say you're wearing a chain, gold chain, and you're searching for it, or wearing some bracelet, you're searching for it. Realization comes immediately, and whatever errors that you had done, whatever sins, or probably we can use the word sin you have committed, are all dissipated in a fraction of a second, flash. They all nullified. And whatever is true remains. Whatever is false disappears.
You mean the samskaras disappear, the false samskaras.
Yeah,
Even
they
though
are held out there first by these spiritual samskaras, and when they get stronger and stronger, oh, this is true, and these were all false. They become like a kind of a shadow. You may remember your name. Oh, I am Madrija. I am Durga. Yeah, I was once. You tell yourself, I was once called Adrija. I was once called Durga. And you see yourself as a kind of reflection. Yeah. And you suddenly, because you've identified yourself with God, till your body lasts, that kind of reflection will remain.
the individual reflection we are talking.
Yeah. And then we ask her, Adrija, how are you? I'm fine. You'll do it through past habit. Your body will work according to its past habits. It will keep on going.
Even the mind too, right?
Yeah, you will come to the temple, you sit down and you
Do whatever.
pray. But you are actually there, identified with higher, that high supreme self. This is the stage called Jivan Mukti, free while yet living. This is the highest stage which Vedanta prescribes for everyone. It's a wonderful state. So, thereby, by virtue of adoring God, one attains Samritatvam, immortality. There you are. You attain immortality.
I'm suffering a lot, Swami.
So, liberation comes when you are identified with God, and when you identified yourself with the body and this external world, which is described as a wheel of Brahman, you are in bondage. And till that delusion does not leave you, you transmigrate from one place to another. Like that lower bird, it hops from the lower branches to the higher branches, round and round. And slowly it ascends. As it keeps on eating bitter fruits, we get blows. And that's the reason why nature tries to awaken us.
By giving us bitter.
Fruit, better fruit. Because the soul sometimes is so stupid. It needs to be sometimes prodded. There you go. Yeah, wake up, wake up. And it's true. Sometimes, yeah. And there, he's saying, he's saying, does God look after us? Yes, he's looking after. He's pulling you and pushing you around. Get going, get going. What are you doing? And you're saying, no, I'll do it later. Fine, that's okay. There's no hurry for you. There's no hurry for me. So here we have. So this is bondage, and this is what why Vedanta is so attractive. It's just the question of realigning yourself with the Supreme Soul. That's you. So long you've identified yourself with this. Come back, and when you have like a horse carriage, you have the driver with the whip there. Keeps the horses under control and in line. So there's a long quotation on page 69 from the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. Brihad is great, Aranyaka is the forest. These these teachings were first, you can say, taught in these forest universities or like the homes of these gurus. And depending on the guru, you had a large congregation of disciples. These were mainly, you can say, boys and girls initially. They used to come as children and stay there, grow up. The guru's family became their family. The guru and the guru's wife became their father and mother. Let's look after them. And they grew up in that kind of ambience, discussing these discussing these huge, you can say, questions, metaphysical questions. So one of them is, he quotes the quotation, whoever in like manner knows it, that is the reality, as I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, becomes all this universe. When you identify yourself with God or the reality, you become this whole universe. Even the gods cannot prevail against him, for he becomes their self. What God can harm you? What? Nothing can harm you, because you become their very self. While he who worships another God, thinking he is one and I am another, does not know. This is the state of bondage. I'll go to this God, I'll go to that temple, I'll go to this. As I say, he is like an animal to the gods. There you are. The gods also would like to have you. Like, you have 1,000 head of cattle, and you are, no, I've got 10,000 head of cattle. Really? Oh. Why? Because cattle have been coming to me. I've been acquiring cattle. The gods also are like that. Oh, they are my worshipper. They are my worshipper. They come. I don't know. So tie them down to me. So, of course, somewhere, yes, of course, that's a different topic. But they don't like to lose some of their cattle. Like the rancher does not like to. No chance. I've got 10,000. I've got 50,000. Wow, you got 50,000.
Is that how they interfere with a person who's trying to achieve the absolute? In other
Yeah.
words, the gods.
I didn't want to
kind
come
of-
down to that, but sometimes they obstruct you. They want to keep you
They
tied
want
down.
you as part of their cattle.
Exactly. So, hey God, I've got a headache. Fine, I'll cure it. There. Oh, that God is good. He cured my headache. There you are bound.
In other words, we should stop thinking of gods. Yes.
You see, what happens is, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, even these lower gods, they confer their, you can say, gifts, or they answer your prayers through the power of that supreme God. So otherwise, you will have great chaos. One God thinks of creating, another God thinks, let's destroy it. Someone will say, let's give Ananta a laptop. Someone will say, no, let us give her 2 laptops. There, okay, confusion. So, to kind of bring stability in the system, there's one, that's the one. And the various offices of these gods, they are there. But so here it is that you become their very self. They cannot prevail over you in any way. Another quotation from the Vishnu Dharma. It's a small, you can say, Purana. Purana is the mythological literature. A creature deluded by the results of its own actions wanders about so long, indeed, as it perceives itself as different from the Supreme Self. So that is the cause of its wandering. As long as it does perceive itself as separate from the Supreme Self, it wanders. And that's what the very first word is, hamsa. It wanders, flies from it. But when it becomes entirely free from the results of its actions, karma phala, it realizes the pure Supreme Brahman as non-different from itself. As a result of purity, it becomes undecaying. It attains immortality. That's the idea of your liberation. So, liberation is nothing but correcting a wrong perception. It's just that. And once you can do that, so where is the Supreme Self? I'm searching for it. It's there within your own heart. It was always there, beckoning. There, come, come, trying to awaken you. And we, as Ramakrishna said, we are like little children sent out to play. And there we are playing. It's getting dark. The mother is calling. Wait for a while, wait for a while. I think there's an English poem also. I forget the name of the poem. Come, my children, the sun has gone down and the dews of the night arise. Come, come, leave of play and let us go away till the morning appears. No, no, let us play and all that. I think I'll get back to you after this. So we are let out to play, and here we are, caught up in that play. And as children don't want to give the play up easily and come back to its divine mother, there we are. How long we have been doing this? In Vedanta, all time stands still. In the state of realization, you transcend time. Then everything flashes before you. Oh, so long. So long. But there it is. Because you have touched, you have seen infinity. There you are. So all your transmigrations, which appear so long and so weary and so full of suffering, in a flash it all goes off. Oh, I am that Supreme Self, and there's nothing. All these things are mere dreams. Dreams. Sri Ramakrishna, even Swami Vivekananda gives example of a person is awakened, he's dreaming, and in that dream he keeps on babbling, talking, even moving his limbs. And then suddenly he hears a knock on the door, wakes up. And he's still in that stupor, the dream. Like, did I hear something? Did somebody knock? And once again he hears a knock. Hey, somebody knocking. He goes and opens the door. What happened? No one said. And then he sees the knock is there in his own heart. He had superimposed that idea outside. That's all the time it was here. And then all that dream and all that, you can say, somnambulism or whatever, he gets up from his dream, wakes up, and everything's over for that particular soul. Okay. We stop here for today.
Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much.